everybody. Sam Goodman, really fucking scary stories. We are chugging right along here towards the beginning, the official start of Season 2 of the Really Fucking Scary Stories podcast. Today we are bringing you another preseason episode. We're bringing you tons of these. I'm just having fun. I'm having a blast. I can't stop recording preseason episodes. You couldn't tell, could you? Because they're just coming out like every week. But I wanted to do like this really cool build up to the official start of Season 2. Again, Season 2 launches March 5th. We run 10 complete full-length episodes. They're a little bit longer than these little preseason things that we've got going on. And then after that, we've got a few postseason episodes. And then we move on to Season 3 towards the end of the year. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. Thank you for following along. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the love that you've continued to show us, all the messages, all the stuff over on social media. It's a blast. If you're not following along with us, please do. If this is your first time here and you enjoy the podcast, please give us a little subscribe. If you're new or old or somewhere in between or wherever, go down, show us some love, give us some stars, write us a review. That helps us a ton. It quite literally keeps the lights on here. It helps us to continue to bring you this awesome, fun, creepy, crawly kind of content, right? These cool episodes. That's how we continue to bring them to you. So we did this little episode about some fun facts about Jeffrey Dahmer, some Jeffrey Dahmer F-U-N. We got to do that, and that was kind of cool. So I wanted to bring you another one of those little kind of fun factoid episodes, and I wanted to not do it on anyone in particular, just something that's probably kind of a little macabre, a little creepy, and I wanted to bring you some interesting facts about dying, death, if you will, about the act of dying, and the a few fun facts on human decomposition. That sounds like something that would fit right in here with us, right? So there's all kinds of ways to say that somebody has died or is dying. Fading quickly, kick the bucket. I've never heard of this one. There's one called brown bread, deceased, departed, demise, expired, gone to a better place, passed away, checked out, bit the big one. I've heard, they bit the bullet, bitten the bullet, bitten the dust. I like this. I'm going to start using them. Popped their clogs, pegged it, taken to Jesus. Like that. When they've been taken to Jesus, met his maker or their maker, how about that? Turned their toes up, cashed in their chips, fallen off their porch, croaked, given up the ghost, gone south. Hey, I like going south. That's fun. 6 feet under the last breath. I mean, I'm looking at a list of just like all these euphemisms for death, and some of them are absolutely hilarious. Like I said, I think popped their clogs is probably one of my more favorite, but some really kind of basic kind of did you know it kind of fun facts about death and dying. I like this one. You are more likely to be killed by a champagne cork than a poisonous spider. People have this weird fear of spiders in particular. I did for a long time too, until I got bit by like a bunch of spiders. So let me say, I wasn't like attacked by a bunch of spiders, not like that, but just like over the years of my life getting bitten by like this kind of spider and that kind of spider, and never really having anything more than just kind of like a bee sting. I get it, you can die from it, but it's not likely. So this should paint that picture, So I am definitely more likely to get killed by a champagne cork. Fortunately, that's not like a wine cork, because we drink a lot more wine than champagne, but more likely than that than from a poisonous spider. Fleas had the distinction of killing more people than all the wars man has ever fought. Insane, right? Fleas, little like fleas. The Black Death, the plague, which killed a quarter of Europe's population in the 14th century, was caused by germs transmitted from rodents to humans. We know like the rat problem that they had, right? By fleas. Fleas were the ones that ultimately transferred that from the rodents to people. How crazy is that? When Thomas Edison died in 1941, Henry Ford captured his dying breath in a bottle. So I'm just looking at these. I haven't researched. I've got to look. Either way, that's a really creepy story. That's really fucking creepy. So you're getting my real reaction, like as I'm kind of going through these. I'm going to have to look that one up because that sounds like a story that we need to talk about. That sounds like insane. In 1845, okay, this is what I aspire to be. So I think it's something like when we talk like death, dying, stuff like that, I think it's really important that we have those open conversations with their families. Let me say that we need to probably normalize the D. We need to normalize the death conversation, the big D conversation. because we don't have those, right? Most of us have been, I can tell you just from personal experience, having family members pass away, especially, death comes quickly sometimes, and you don't have any clue that it's coming, and then you're not prepared, and then it's just a nightmare, blah, 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 blah. There's a really great YouTube channel out there called Ask a Mortician, and so you should totally check that out. Love it. Her name's Caitlin Daughtry, I believe. Daughtry. I know it's Caitlin something, but I believe it's Caitlin Daughtry. It's amazing. It's amazing. And a lot of her kind of mission, it seems like, is normalizing that conversation, so you don't have to, I know side rant, but so you don't have to like deal with that stuff in the moment. It's good. It's like so you can have your wishes honored and blah, 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 right? So that's a long rant to tell you that this makes me want to do that even more, because this is the funeral that I aspire to have one day. In 1845, President Andrew Jackson's pet parrot had to be removed from his funeral for swearing. So I'm hoping one of these days, if I have to go and when I have to go, that is how I would want to be remembered. Yeah, Sam lived to be 127, and yeah, can you believe it? At his funeral, we had to remove a fucking parrot because his pet parrot wouldn't stop swearing. That is next level epic. I've seen this the other day. It is absolutely possible now to be buried in space. I think that's pretty interesting. You can have a symbolic portion, like a little bit of your loved one's ashes cremated and sent to outer space, obviously for a fee. Kind of going back to that planning piece. Don't leave your family with that bill because you don't want them to remember you as a $20,000 funeral. Attila the Hun is thought to have died from a nosebleed on his wedding night. What a way to go! So this is kind of some of the stuff. This stuff that I'm looking at comes from a website that's talking about dying and how you should talk about it. So 60% of adults don't make a will. None of us plan to freaking die, right? Well, none of us are going to die. So why would we ever make a will? Yeah, I would. Pro tip: go do that. Only 1 in 2 billion people will live to be 116 or older. In Italy, it is illegal to make coffins out of anything but wood or nutshells. I think this whole like green burial thing is really cool. Like I like this whole kind of like old school kind of OG idea of like kind of ashes to ashes, dirt to dirt kind of thing. Like this weird like tradition that we find ourselves of, with like this big metal box with a vault, and like I don't want to be like pickled. Like I don't want to be like that embalmed pickled person. So it's just crazy, which we're going to jump into that here right now. Actually, we're going to run over and start talking about some disturbing facts, and I wouldn't call them disturbing, just natural facts about human decomposition. So it is creepy, it is crawly. And the first fact is that it starts a whole lot sooner than what you might think. Human decomp begins just minutes after death, right? So how crazy is that? I'm going to try to pronounce it autolysis. I think that's right. Or AKA self-digestion. That is the process that starts everything, and it starts within just a couple minutes of boom, bit the dust, or right after you popped your clogs, right as soon as you popped your clogs, your body basically starts to digest itself. So it's as gruesome as it sounds. Soon after the heart stops beating, once your heart just shuts down, cells in the body begin to accumulate all these kind of toxic byproducts as a result of not having any oxygen in there anymore. And enzymes basically start to digest, just like you would digest food. They start to digest cell membranes and then leak out as the cells begin to break down. Interesting fun fact: human decomp. Decomposition can last for years after you have been buried. When buried 6 feet down without a coffin in ordinary soil, an unembalmed adult normally takes 8 to 12 years to decompose to a skeleton. 8 to 12 years. Who knew that it would take that long to get down to just kind of like, I guess, dry bones, right? That's pretty crazy. However, if placed in a coffin, the body can take many years longer. And then obviously with the embalming, depending on if they're embalmed, and then with the casket or coffin, what type of wood is used, et cetera, et cetera. Human decomp, you smell it before you see it. It's no surprise that decay smells bad. But, the reason why it smells would probably surprise you. The smell is caused by trap gases that are generated by bacteria in the intestinal tract, which then build up, release odors after death. According to Aftermath.com, in addition to the various gases generated by bacteria in the body, a decomposing corpse also releases about 30 different chemical compounds. All of these come together to create this bouquet of unpleasant odor. That's what it is. This one was interesting to me in particular, that corpses of cancer survivors might make animals sick. So when you really think about it, it's not the cancer. So it's actually the radiation used in chemotherapy, and it can stay in your body long after you pass away. We know kind of radiation kind of hangs around, right? It stings around for a long fucking time. But it can make animals sick. So according to Vice.com, corpses of individuals who've had a lot of chemotherapy in their life affect the type of insects that will aid in the decay. So insects, in all de natural, in natural decomp, insects are, a big important part of that process. So I think that's interesting because it talks about the Texas State Forensic Anthropology Center. The team purposely keeps these corpses away from the vultures because it tends to make the vultures sick. And I think those are super interesting. If you've never read anything about the body farms and stuff like that, it's really, 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 really interesting. I'm a nerd, and as creepy as it is, I find this stuff super duper interesting. And I've got a feeling that if you're hanging out at really fucking scary stories, you find all this stuff really super interesting as well. And maybe that would be a really fun episode to do some stuff talking about, like, the body farm. I remember the first time that I discovered that the body farm was a thing. I don't even remember what it was. I was like I won't say like a little kid. I was probably like right at teenage level or right there at the end of like preteens. And we were traveling. It was me and my mom. We were going somewhere like a road trip, like a little vacation thing, and I'm like bored as shit in the car. And then like I find like this audio book kind of like novel something, right? This audiobook story. I don't remember what it was, but it's basically one of those like whodunit things. It's like a crime thriller thing. And I'm like, oh, this looks super cool, because the cover was kind of like, kind of scary looking. And I'm like, okay, let's pick this up. And we're like cruising along. We're listening to it. And I remember like at some point in the story, they're talking about like the body farm, and they're like, we're basically solving this crime because we know this from the body farm, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, what the heck is a body farm? And then they explain what it was. I'm like, holy crap! So they just put like dead people in all these crazy different things to see how. Yep. So then of course, as soon as like I have computer access later on, then I'm like, I'm gonna Google the body farm, and you find some crazy stuff. Whole side story like that. Like, okay, I'm thinking like I'm like 12, right? I'm like 12, and then this tape just goes into like this explicit like sex scene, and my very Christian mother is like, no, like basically like fumbling with the like basically throwing the tapes out the window. It was just funny. I know there's my fun fact for the day, personal fun fact. So it was just hilarious. But that's how I discovered that the body farm was a thing. And then I was like, holy crap, this is like super, super duper interesting. What's crazy about that, like we were talking about death, and then we led into decomposition, and that study of decomposition, like the insects, the larvae that basically, you find in your body, the different stages based off of like where you are in the decomposition process, based off of like the environment and all these different things. The work that they do at these body farms is just next level in dating time of death and ultimately bringing killers to justice. So while creepy, while maybe a little macabre to those that looking at it from the outside, it is super vital work into solving crime. So how cool is that? Thank you for joining us for this pre-season episode. Season 2 officially begins March the 5th. So March the 5th, then we've got 10 episodes that we built up that were full length episodes, a little bit longer than these, probably about double, that we'll be releasing to you every Friday until they're done. And then we'll do some really fun, post-season stuff. So we're getting ready for a little bit of a Q&A thing. So submit us your questions if you want me to answer them, and I'll do that. And then we'll do like some reflections and, just some stuff, right? It'll be a lot of fun. So thank you for joining us today. I am so pumped for you to hear season 2. I like it. I love it. I got to have more of it. I just absolutely do. I can't wait for you to hear and tune in to more really fucking scary stories. Have you had a really fucking scary experience? Have you seen a ghost? Have you been on a macabre adventure? Would you like to share it on air? Would you like for us to tell that story? Or you just have something horrid that you would like for us to talk about? Head over to PaleHorseMediaCo.com. Use the contact form to let us know all about it. Make sure that you subscribe. New episodes come out every single Friday. We look forward to continuing this creepy, crawly, morbid